Yep, that worked. Thank you so much. Hello?
Yeah, no problem.
Hi guys. This has taken a little bit of time, but you know it's Howard's homecoming, so you know things gonna run a little bit different. Time runs a little bit different when it comes to homecoming. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it was. My name is Brenden Whitted. I am going to be hosting this still pregame kickoff show as a part of Bison Express. Just in case you guys want to know a little bit more about Bison Express, we're going to have Thomas Payne on in the next 5 to 10 minutes. He's a board member, former athlete at Howard. Was honored recently at the Hall of Fame induction, so I'm gonna talk to him a little bit about that. We got the chair here as well, Bruce, my boy Melvin. So it's turning. You know what? You see the sweat on my face. It was a little concerning, but your boy done pulled through. We back at it. But first, like shout out to well, first off, shout out to the Vin on Embassy Road, one of the Marriott hotels. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's gorgeous. We out here on the rooftop. It's really, really pretty. Got a little bit of music playing. Got some folks trickling through. You know, I was late, so they're gonna be late. So there you go. But it should be a really, really good time. We're gonna talk a little bit about the game. We're gonna talk a little bit about homecoming. We're gonna have some guests on too, who are actually hitting me up now because we're running behind schedule. But no, this is going to be really, really cool. Um, I'm really excited because this is something that we haven't done before. You know, when I approached Bison Express about the idea, it was like, okay, well, we've never really done something like this before. How is this going to work? And I got shout out Holly Mitchell, who is the manager over here, who kind of helped put and bring all this together. I'm gonna try to. She's running around right now, you know, make sure the event is as popping as it's going to be. But I'm gonna grab her at some point, just kind of talk to you guys a little bit about our host, about the Marriott and about the relationship between Marriott and Howard, which has gone on for a lot longer than even I realized. So really, really excited about that. You can tell the excitement. You can tell it's been, you know, I was sweating bullets a little bit. I was trying to, you know, we're having some technical issues, and if you know me, I'm not the super technical guy, and so I was flummoxed and didn't know how to handle it. But look, this is our first time doing it. We go running a little bit late. It's gonna be a little bit different, but it is gonna be a really, really good time. And just being glad, I'm just happy that we're having this homecoming. It's 2022. We missed out on the last couple years because of the pandemic, and it's really nice to see all these people. I got a chance to hit the yard a little bit yesterday. Got a chance to go to this event by Ed Hill, former sports and information director. Shout out to him at Cook Hall with people that are currently doing sports media, interested in sports media, have been doing sports media for a really long time. And it's just really nice to see us. You know what I mean? It's nice to see us in these numbers rocking with one another as we do. And shout out to everybody that I talked to in the yard and they was like, hey, you know, saw that you're doing that. Really, really happy for it. So yeah, that's really kind of what we're doing here over at the event at the Marriott. Um, uh, so yeah, that's Holly right there, helping me out as always.
Hey y'all.
I'll grab you at some point and just talk a little.
I'm not camera ready.
To talk about a little bit about the Vin and about Marriott and about the relationship. I would like to let me grab Payne at some point. Of course, he did that. I was just going to. I didn't see Payne leave, but yeah, um, just it's really cool that this event has been able to take place. That it's been able to happen, and that's due to all the folks in the background. Delaware State is our opponent this week, and it's been a little bit of a rough year so far. 1-5. I think it's fair to say that it's been disappointing so far, especially given some of the upward trends from last year. Last year's group didn't perform well in terms of wins and losses, but a lot of younger guys got a lot of reps, and the thinking was that because they were able to get that experience, that they would they would show up and show out a little bit better, during the season. It hasn't come together. The single win being at Morehouse, so they're the seldom 1-5 team that's neither won a home nor away game, because the Morehouse game was technically on a neutral field. But it's been disappointing. I think mostly because I thought the defense was going to perform a little bit better. They've given up 35 plus points in the last two games to Harvard and Yale, 41 to Harvard, which is the previous game. And that's too much to ask for your from your offense, which is shown flashes, right? They hang 31 up against Morehouse, and it's shown flashes of really being that sort of team, but it's only flashes, right? Like hey, we go down early to Harvard, we battle all the way back, we're tied at halftime at 17. And then they're never back into that game again. It's the stop and go, I think, of everything. It's the disappointment of not being consistent. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. There's been an inconsistency. Quentin Williams came in as somebody that somebody to watch for, and he's been a little up and down. I think the turnovers are really what has hurt them. He's got 6 touchdowns, but the 5 turnovers. Again, you're putting I mentioned the defense earlier, but you're putting them in a really tough position when you have to defend short fields, when you're giving up pick sixes. They've also been sacked 12 times. Williams has also been sacked 12 times. You saw Jalen Tolbert in the last game, and he got the bulk of the carries. He got the bulk of snaps at quarterback. He was 21 of 31, 234, 3 touchdowns, but again, 3 interceptions. Like it's the negative plays that eventually will catch up to you, and that's something that that's a lot to put on your defense. It's one thing to not be successful offensively. It's another thing that when your offense puts your defense in such a precarious position that it really hurts you in all facets, right? Like, so not only are we not scoring, we're also putting our defense in bed, and it becomes cyclical. So that's how you're able to go be at halftime, 17-17, and you score one more time, they score 24 more points, and they scored 24 more points. I'm actually going to grab Thomas Payne now. That's a perfect segue. I'll bring on with you our board member, Thomas Payne. We're going to have to get close because, it's a family affair over here. But I'm sitting with Thomas Payne on the board of directors. So talk to me a little bit about your time at Howard. You were a football player.
Absolutely. Brenden came in 1970. With a bunch of Eagle freshmen, and we hadn't won for a little while. And combined with those new freshmen from all around the country, and with the folks who were right there at the university, we had winning seasons for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So it was great to get there to Howard. It was a wonderful time. I came out of Southwest Virginia down in Roanoke Valley. And to come to Howard was a dream come true. And certainly glad that I came.
Talk to me a little bit. You mentioned that previously that hadn't been winning much. Mm-hmm. What is it like to be a part of turning a program around? Because I mentioned it's been a little bit of a disappointing season this year, a little rough last year, and so one's a blip, two's a trend. So how do you kind of as being a part of somebody that helped turn something like that around? Like, what's the feeling in the locker room, or I don't know what the coach is saying to you, like how because there's got to be a lot of pressure, right?
So the kind of guys that we had in the team were the kind of folks who were outstanding athletes and just good people. and they use their time and their energies to make sure that we all were achieving. And it didn't matter if one person got a lot of receptions. When I was a receiver, of course, I want to catch everybody.
You thought you was always open.
Oh, no question. Would run back to the quarterback and tell them that the next play, the next 3 plays ought to be a passing play, and it ought to come to me. And so that no problem with that. But we understood that there were lots of folks on the team that had different skills and capabilities, and that if we utilized all of them, then we'd be able to really win. And we did. We had great athletes. A number of folks who left the university after their eligibility, went on to the professional ranks, and so it was something. We just said we didn't want to lose, and we didn't have to lose, and we could be as competitive as anybody else. In fact, when we got there, it was the CIAA.
Okay.
And then it changed 71, 72 to MIA. And that we could play with anybody, any place, at any time. And we did.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We were as competitive year in and year out for a while because of the belief and the kinds of people that were coming in. You know, once you start winning, you know, people want to come.
Right.
And they want to be a part of that. And, you know, obviously the Howard atmosphere and academic aspect of Howard certainly drew people in, along with co-eds. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
I had noticed. I did notice. No, all right, so I mentioned you were part of Bison Express. Mm-hmm. I mentioned, this event is for Bison Express, so people can understand a little bit more about what they do, become members, join. Talk to me a little bit about what Bison Express is and what it does.
So let me start off by saying Bison Express, BisonExpress.org. Go there, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So Bison Express, Howard University Bison Express. It's an organization that's been around for probably 20 years, and it is chartered by the university as the fundraising entity for Howard University athletics, band and cheerleading. So there is actually an account, just like a bank account, an account for each sport. And let's use lacrosse, for example. If you want to give to lacrosse, then you go to bisonexpress.org, click the donate button, voila, lacrosse comes out up as one of the little drop downs. You can put your $10 to whatever amount that you want to lacrosse. Mm-hmm. And that money, all of that money goes to the needs of the lacrosse team. And we've been doing that. Again, I've been on the board probably for 10 years. And so we are all volunteers. We all have ties to Howard. We are either undergrad or graduate alumni. And we are just want to make sure that the student athletes, cheerleaders, and band members have a good experience.
Right.
And that money, I mean, you need to have money in order to purchase supplemental supplies and materials and gear. We aren't building a stadium.
Right.
We don't have capital. We haven't had a capital campaign for real estate types of acquisitions and repair. But for supplemental items.
So yeah, I was about to say, could you give an example?
Sure. Somebody, one of the teams called and said we need several $100s for logos. We don't have our Jump brand shirts and shorts, but we have to pay to put the logos on. So we need to have money to put logos. So we'll do that. Teams will call and say we'd like to have a bonding activity, mm-hmm. and that may be $2,000 or $3,000. So we'll do that. There may be smaller groups. Maybe there is the team that needs a yoga instructor. So we will pay for the yoga instructor or the chiropractor, or we will pay for teams that come in and say we need a speaker. We found this dynamic speaker, and we need to have some money to pay for the speaker. So we will do that. So those kinds of enhancements that we can give the coaches and students are the kinds of things that we use the money to do. Now, sometimes we are asked to participate in larger endeavors. Money to complete the field, the football field, the new turf that comes on, the scoreboard that you see. And you'll see Bison Express, the Bison Express logo on the scoreboard. Well, it's because we put money into that.
Right.
The weight room that for those of us who were way back when, there used to be the wrestling room. And now that we don't have wrestling, we hope we get wrestling back. But the weight room and the weights were purchased using funds from Bison Express. The student study room or the IT room where kids go and study and have the study hall and they have all the electronics, well, Bison Express paid for that. So it's a wide-ranging area that we cover and that we help. And we call it supplemental, but it is whatever the need is, and if we can afford, and if there is money in the account, then the coaches use that money. They are approved by the compliance office, the AD or the AD assistant associate approves that, so there are no NCAA rule violations or anything, and they have not been. Right. So that's what we use the money, and the most important thing is these are expenses that are yearly. So for those of you who believe you can give that $100 and it goes through in perpetuity, no, you have to give us, you know. You got different kids, different years, so you need more money. And that's what we come to you and we tell you this is where the money goes. We have documents that are out that show you where the money goes, and we know. We know that you want to know where your money's going. So we can tell you in general terms where your money's gone. We can't tell you if a kid has the particular pair of shoes. We can tell you that the kid, when we bought shoes. So that's those are some of the things.
And that's really, really important stuff, especially, now that HBCU sports are kind of getting a little bit more shine. Those, while, they might not be, the capital expenditures of some of these other programs, they do mean something. I thought Deion Sanders had something really poignant to say just about like, hey, put the names on the back of the jersey, like stuff like that. Those are, yes, smaller sorts of things, but they mean a lot. They mean a lot to the players. They mean a lot to the fans, and it just means a lot for a program. It just it gives a program a look. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain look that you get with that. Now, talk to me a little bit. You were recently honored at the Hall of Fame. You were recently inducted into the Howard Athletic Hall of Fame that Bison Express put on. That was 3 weeks ago.
September 30th.
September 30th. Talk to me a little bit about, one, what that meant to you, and then two, kind of like, you've been a part of a lot of these Hall of Fame sorts of ceremonies, and just talk a little bit about what that means to you.
So, first of all, it's a great honor, and I certainly appreciate the fact that someone thought enough of me to recommend me as a Hall of Famer. And just to say, there are a couple of ways that you can go to the Hall of Fame. One is, again, if you go to our website, bisonexpress.org, click up Hall of Fame on the little drop down, and you can see the criteria. One is that if you were an exceptional athlete or coach and that you had exceptional teams, or you were on winning and championship teams, or you were honored by the conferences and by the conference. Well, sometimes the conferences, because there were still CIAA folks and MEAC folks, and if you were All-American status folks, you can come in on strictly on those merits of your athletic attainment. The other part is, yep, you can be an athlete like me. You can maybe not be a part of the winning team or championship team, but you've worked in order to fundraise. You've worked in order to highlight and expand the profile of athletics in the university. And and you've given money to the university and to athletics. Then you can come in what is known as Buffalo Soldier Award, which is a Hall of Fame level award, and that's what I got. And along with some really dynamic folks who received that award also, who've been champions of Howard and champions of the athletic program for years.
Yeah.
And so it was a highlight for me. I had my family there, my wife and kids and grandbaby, babies who came and who were not impressed at all. But it was great to have them there and to see and feel the camaraderie of everybody in the room, of inductees, guests, and family, to say that, man, Howard we've achieved and we continue to achieve, and that now it was time to recognize the achievement of folks. And there are many more,
right?
Because we do this every other year.
I was about to say it's biennial. I had to look that word up because I did not know.
It's a little tricky.
I didn't know. That was the first time I used that. And if you guys want to know a little bit more about the 2022 Hall of Fame induction, you can also go to bisonexpress.org, the blog section. There's a piece written by a very astute, brilliant, may I say also, very good looking a guy by the name of Brenden Whitted. But like you guys can go check out the blogs, and it'll give you some information about just kind of things that are going on throughout the season in a myriad of sports. Mr. Payne, I just really appreciate you taking the time. It's homecoming, so he could be anywhere. You know what I mean? Like everywhere he go, he the mayor. So like he could be anywhere, and he's here with us here today. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
I just want to say,
absolutely.
Follow Brenden. Brenden has all of the information of and about Howard Athletics. He's on the podcast. He will have lots of coaches and other people who have an affiliation and an affinity for Howard University. So by all means, continue to watch and listen to what is going on, and to read in the blog where he does a lot of fine writing.
Well, thank you. Look, I love praise. You ain't never got to twist my arm for that. At HU Cosell, HUCOSELL. You'll have all the updates from everything Bison Express. You'll have a link tweeted out for the replay of this event. I'll retweet it from there as well, and it's on Twitter and Instagram. Same thing. If you want to go to my Instagram, I actually also was able to cover the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So you'll see some really cool pictures and videos. It was an absolute good time. It was my first one, and so I had a blast doing it. Thank you so much, man. Like this has been really cool.
Thank you, Brenden. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go Bison.
Go Bison. We're going to win today, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to win today.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I got another 35 seconds worth of eligibility. I'm going to put my stuff on now.
Give him that one quick out. That's right. Just a quick, just quick, get beyond the sticks, man. Yo, we can use it.
Thank
you. We could use it today, man. Look, Delaware State is no joke. They're 4-2, 1-0 in the conference. Remember, we all, for MEAC football teams, we're only having six teams. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. I'm sure we have another guest coming up in a little bit, but until they get here, I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, because there's been a lot of reshuffling as it pertains to MEAC sports. No Hampton, no A&T, FAMU's gone, Bethune. Like some of the stalwarts that you think about when you think about MEAC athletics, or at least the way I do, especially with Hampton. When Hampton left, as you enjoy the rivalry. I know I enjoy the rivalry, right? But it's our rivalry, right? Like, so yeah, we played this year and we lost. By the way, I ain't gonna say nothing about that. That was a tough one. That felt like a game that we could have had. And anytime you lose to Hampton, it hurts a little bit more. So yeah, we get a chance to play, but they're not in conference anymore, and it does feel different. You know what I mean? And when teams leave, it feels different. Like A&T for their homecoming, they're gonna be playing Campbell. No shade to Campbell. Campbell's a fine institution, but that's not. I mean, when I think about Hampton and when I think about A&T's homecoming, I don't think about their opponent being Campbell. You know, I mean, it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe, and so I it hurts a little bit more when our teams leave. Look, there's conference realignment everywhere in collegiate sports, mostly driven by football. If we're being honest, you have UCLA and USC leaving Pac-12, and then suddenly, they're Middle America playing teams. So it's a little difficult. This is actually one of the guests now. I'm going to mute the microphone. I had to mute it so y'all wouldn't know about the special guests I got coming up. It's low key. I'm it's a lot of things. I don't want to take you behind the curtain too quickly. But yeah, it's different when we lose teams out of the MEAC, because it's one thing for conferences to realign because economics, right? Like FAMU and Bethune talked about how expensive it was for them to travel. They were the two most southern MEAC teams at the time. And pretty much every time FAMU wants to play somebody, they got to hop on the plane. And that's extremely expensive. And for HBCUs, particularly HBCU sports, we're operating on margins, right? We're not operating with the same budgets that some of these larger PWIs are. And so everything has to make dollars. It's got to make sense, right? Like everything has to be financially viable, because HBCUs, even outside of athletics, some of them can struggle with the donations and having enough in endowments and stuff like that. And so, as much as we all love sports, the sport isn't the reason for the school. Education is, and if you can't have the athletics department taking so much money that then negatively impacts the rest of the administration, the rest of the education that's going on, be it teachers, equipment, what have you. And so it is completely understandable when teams leave. It can both be completely understandable and extremely heartbreaking at the same time, because it's us. It's for us. The CIAAs, the MEACs, the SWACs, those were created. These HBCUs were created because we weren't allowed to go to those other institutions. And so, sure, things have changed, and now you see some percentage at these PWIs, but still HBCUs, and this is an overall homecoming theme that I'm mentioning. For HBCUs, it's different, right? Our homecomings are different. When we get together, it's different. We don't have Black student unions. We just call them student unions. You feel me? So like things are a little bit different. So when the team leaves, it feels different from when UCLA leaves the Pac-12. Yeah, it's sad, but it's okay. They don't the relationship between the PWIs is different from the relationship even between HBCUs. We give we give each other hell all the time, right? Oh man, I can't stand them people over at A&T with greatest homecoming of ever of all time, whatever they call it. Oh man, Hampton ain't nothing. Sure, there's always that sort of jocular animosity towards one another. But in reality, we're all in this together, and it really is the HBCU versus everybody in a lot of instances. And so when you have a A&T and they leave to go to another conference, while it can make sense financially, it can still hurt. And I think that there has to be like maybe a larger conversation had. Look, I started this with we're fielding 6 teams playing football in the MEAC. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not sustainable. Like that's not a sustainable model. It can go on for a little bit, but there has to be a larger thing. And so Deion Sanders recently was on 60 Minutes, I believe, and one of the things that he was talking about was, hey, maybe we need to combine some of this stuff. Maybe combine the MEAC, maybe combine the SWAC into an East and West, and you can develop those rivalries so you're not playing Campbell for your homecoming. You know what I mean? And so you can, and additionally, that helps with selling media rights. Now, once you start doing that, once you can package these games, because I would love personally to be able to go to one place and watch. Hey, I'd love to watch Grambling play Howard or Hampton play Xavier or something like that. Like I'd love to watch some of these teams that I've grown up going to their homecomings and knowing people from their institutions. I would love to have one place I can go, but when it's so disparate with, okay, well, the SWAC's over here, there's a MEAC stream here. Oh, if I want to watch Hampton, I gotta go Colonial's website. I'm not doing all that. No one is. That's not a reasonable thing to ask somebody. If you say, hey, here's $15 a month and you can watch all HBCU sports and not just football. I know that we're here for homecomings. Homecomings about football. I completely understand that, but not just football. I'm talking about all sports. I want to be able to tune in and watch the Bison play, because you know what? They just won the MEAC. They just had the first NCAA tournament win in basketball in school's history. That happened last year, right? And so I'd love to be able to watch them all season long. That would be great. I'd love to be able to sit up here and say, hey, I know Ayanna Warren got preseason first team all MEAC. I'd love to watch every single game of her. I'd love to see the progression. I'm from North Carolina, so UNC and Duke is as big as it gets, and to a lesser extent State. But like, let's be real. That's not it. But like, I'd love to be able to watch their progression. I'd love to be able to watch Brooklyn Fort Davis and Kristen Marsh. Marsh, who had her biggest game of the season when they needed it most, versus Incarnate Word last year. That was huge for her. Like that's a huge game for her. I think she had 14 or 15 points, her best game of the season. It was great for her to have that. I would love to have been able to see her from day one and see that progression. And so that's what that would mean, to be able to package all this stuff, to go to one place and to have one app where I can like, hey, let me stream and let me watch. And because we do care. I think it can get overlooked sometimes because we're not Alabama or UNC or UCLA or some of these other schools. Oh, they're the ones that care more. They don't care more. I love sports and I love my institution. And I know a whole bunch of people that do. You know, I do Twitter Spaces probably like once every 2 weeks, just talking about HBCU sports. And folks show up, folks that I don't even know, because they're like, oh, someone's talking about HBCU sports, and they're like swimwear. And we're having legitimate people who are covering this stuff. HBCU Game Day, Stephen Gaither, like that dude has been doing work for a really, really long time. Shout out to him. I've had opportunity to speak with him a little bit, work with him a little bit, and he's on top of it. And so when he first, and I remember when he first started, he didn't. There was some question about whether or not that was sustainable, whether or not people cared enough about it. Go check their followers now. Go check the numbers that they do. They just hit 1 million views or some huge number of views for one of their more recent stories, because they're not only do people care about it, but they're also really good at it. And so you're getting more and more professional people covering this who also care about the sport. And so as the media members come, like if you were to be able to package some of this stuff and sell it and make it more lucrative, you'll be having more and more talented people enter into the space where we can cover it on a regular basis. So I could, having a weekly show, a la, kind of UNC weekends with Roy, and they would have the head coach on of the men's basketball team at the time, and like, hey, just kind of talk about the game. It's not that we can't do these things now. It's just that having more funds, having more money, and having that community would be really, really helpful. Again, 6 in the MEAC as it stands right now is just it's a tough one to kind of move forward with. You know what I mean? Like that's tough to sustain in that way. I mentioned Deion earlier as the football head coach of Jackson State, and kind of what that has meant to HBCU sports generally. And he's been a little bit of a lightning rod, because I mean, look, it's prime time, right? Like he's gonna rub some people the wrong way, or get a little dap at the handshake line, maybe not so much, you know what I mean? Like, but all that stuff is good for HBCU sports. Like, one is good for visibility. 2 is good that people are now understanding that how many people care about it. But it's also important for folks to recognize Deion going to Jackson State. Hey, he's serious about that move. He's serious about what he's done. And you can tell because he brought his son there, right? Like nobody would, who is a pro prospect, by the way, like a legitimate pro prospect from the people that would know these things, or even early on in his career. Yes, this is a guy that you could easily see playing on Sundays, but you wouldn't bring your son anywhere where you didn't have a real faith that you could change things. The way that he speaks about, hey, would you want to play Alabama? No, we're not. We're not going to play Alabama yet because we're physically not there yet. If for somebody with the connections that he has, he could have gone out and tried to make that matchup happen. No, he's not building something for it. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Even if that means that marathon won't always be with him there, right? Like when Georgia Tech, who was rumored to be interested in him, hit him up, and his answer is essentially, man, it's flattering to be even mentioned, which is usually coach speak for. Probably not that one, but I'm listening, right? You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm listening. Hey, but that's fair and that's fine. No, I don't expect him to be some, kind of yeoman and put in all this work and only stay like if he has other aspirations, by all means, but it's not really about him. This is about a larger trend that's occurring in HBCU sports. You see Eddie George, he came back, Mo Williams on the basketball side, and you can also see what some of these people are doing in terms of some of these students are doing in terms of selecting these HBCUs. Some of these 4- and 5-star recruits are now starting to consider, and in the case of some, actually make the decision to come to Howard. So this is a much larger trend as my fault. I don't mean to laugh, but we got a superstar just walked in. She over here looking fly. She had to get the look together. I'm gonna give it. Or do you need a second, or do you want to?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay, of course you're ready to go. Born ready right here. Okay, well, our next guest is Coach Tori Tyson, coach of the softball team. Go ahead, get on this side. We're gonna have to be a little close. It's family style over here.
All right.
Welcome to the show, Coach. It is a pleasure. I'm sorry. She's already appeared on Bison Break. Again, you can look.
Am I
good?
Okay, all right.
You look
be
fly.
disrespectful to the cast.
Nah. You look
Let's do
fly.
it.
No, the flyer the better. It's Howard's homecoming. Absolutely. But yes, so she was on Bison Break, which is a show that I host where we bring on coaches, players, and people that associated with Howard University and athletic program, and just kind of highlight some of these people. And I was fortunate enough to get Coach Tyson way back before she was even giving out signatures. Way back before then. But no, I got a chance to have her on, and I'm so thankful that she's made time today. Because you had a great season. You had an amazing season. Very, very impressive. Talk to me a little bit about last year.
Just a blessing. It was a blessing with everything that was going on, and honestly, I spoke that into existence when I took this job. So to see it happen in the timeline that it happened in, just a blessing. It's got me so pumped, and it just, you know what I mean? You don't need a reward to keep you going.
Right.
But it definitely feels good, and it felt good to see, like, I've been promising the girls, if you do this, and this, you're going to win a championship. So for them to get that payoff after everything that they've committed to this program, this university, was everything to me, especially that senior class.
Because you mentioned in the timeline, you have not been here that long. 2020.
It was 2018, but 2018. I didn't have a full year. I've
That's
never
right.
had a full year at Howard. Last full season where we had a full fall and a full spring.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that turnaround, like, it's something to be able to tell your athletes, hey, do this and this will happen, and then you follow through on that.
They follow through. Heavy on they follow through.
Yes, you're 100% right. I wanted to ask you a little bit, since we're mentioning last year, who should we be looking out for in terms of individuals? Because you've lost your home run leader in Kalita Dennis.
I did not.
Running
back. Kalita Dennis is back.
Okay, my bad. I am completely wrong in that.
She is taking advantage of her 5th-year option.
Okay, you know what? That's on me.
So eyes on Kalita Dennis.
Eyes on Kalita Dennis. Anybody else we should be looking for?
Alyssa Vasquez is back.
Okay.
She led every freshman in the nation. D1 in doubles.
Wow.
So definitely eyes on her. Peyton Quinones, another freshman that started, had a couple hits at regionals against the best. I would definitely say her. Alyssa Watson's had an amazing offseason. Victoria Brown's put in a lot of work. The bulk of our starters were freshmen last year.
Okay.
So I think, and I have made a crazy, insane preseason. So
wait. Like, so who we looking at?
UCLA.
Oh, okay.
We open up with Tennessee, wildin'. But I wanted to be fully prepared for the next time we're at a regional, because we did a disservice to our athletes. Yes, we've had 2 winning seasons, but those wins are empty when you're not prepared to play the best. So I want to put them in a position where they're around the best, they're in those environments, and we will never lose there over a lack of experience again.
I was going to ask you how you fight complacency, but if you coming out the box,
ain't no complacency going down this year. The first game is Tennessee, baby.
If you coming out the box like that, then it is very, very serious. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yes, man. Okay. Well, talk to me a little bit about that. So you guys were I believe I have this right, because now you got me shook because I was wrong about her coming back. So you guys were the first to win the MEAC, first softball team to win the MEAC for Howard, right?
No, they did it in 2007. So it was the first time since 2007. Okay.
And so what do you think that experience was like, being at regionals and playing was it Mississippi State?
Yeah,
was one of
and we were 2 innings away from beating Mississippi State. It changes the game. And then, like I said, when you have 6 of your 9 starters as freshmen, that leaves them hungry, right? Because they know that had we played Howard softball those first 2 innings, that could have looked a lot different, and we would have changed the scope of softball. Getting those kind of wins on those kind of platforms changes things. And we were 2 innings away from doing that. So I'm super excited to see this freshman class continue to grow from those losses, because they left there hungry and wanting more. And in these next 3 years, I'm so excited to see what they do with that hunger, right? So I'm geeked.
In terms of support, what would you like to see from Howard's the community and showing the proper support? Because you guys got honored at the Nationals game, I believe, which was really, really cool.
Yes. And we did just get a resolution from the city. But what I would like to see is, like, put some respect on our name. When you see my girls, like, on campus, like, do we have a softball team? Not only do you have a softball team, you have a softball team that won a championship, and you have a softball team that has won a championship without a softball field, without a batting cage. These girls are the greatest ambassadors of this university. They show up in the community. They show up on the field. And we take advantage of every platform offered of us. And I would like just everybody cohesively, like, there's got to be a way. There's no reason we're one of the only teams in the MEAC without a batting cage. The Howard University can't have a softball team without a batting cage, period. There's not a reason. There's no excuse. We got to find a way, and that's got to be top priority.
BisonExpress.org/giving. This is why we're having this event. This is why we wanted people to be able to see, like, you see the passion. I know it jumps off the page. I know it jumps off the screen. She's passionate and she's capable. And so she's asking you, hey, help give us the tools so that we can continue on. I like winning the MEAC without a wild, right? Like, that's some real bad news bears type. Like, like that's some
wild.
That's really like some TV level scripts.
Led the MEAC in batting average since I've been here, and just they make no excuses. But we have to stop normalizing this journey for these athletes. Yeah. I don't want to normalize it. I don't want to make it cute anymore, because it's not. Women don't always have to do a lot with a little. Like, you can give us something and we can go ham with that too. And I think that they've earned that. They've earned your presence. They've earned a batting cage. And that I will not leave Howard University, and I don't want to until I feel like, and I want to be here forever, and I want to see it continue to grow. And I want to have multiple batting cages. I don't want it to be like I got to go and I got to figure out where I'm going to hit every day, or I'm chasing balls on the football field for my whole 4-year journey. I want us all in on not normalizing that anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want that to be like the face of our program anymore. This program that does a lot with nothing.
Yeah. It doesn't always have to be about resilience.
Yeah.
It can be about abundance. Bison Express. Yeah, you see that?
I like that.
I do this word thing a little bit. BisonExpress.org/give. Thank you so much for taking time. You look good. I meant to ask you. This is your first, like, for real, Howard Homecoming?
Literally my first one.
What's going on?
I'm like kind of shook because y'all are crazy. I'm kind of shook, but I'm excited. We are taking it on. I had to bring one of my former players from Maryland. so that I can like really just. I had to prepare myself. Y'all are crazy. Y'all alum. Y'all don't play, and that's what makes working at Howard really special because of you guys. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend because it's fun. It's a good time. I know as soon as this joint is on, I'm going to have a blast. So
let's do it.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Guys.
You see why? Yeah, that was fantastic. Came in with a leather jacket on. Go ahead. Do you see it? Do you see it?
Thank you.
Get him out of here. But do you see the passion and stuff like that? And that's, I mentioned football, and that's what we're all here. But we just won the Commanders Cup, which is the MEAC award for best women's sports program in the conference. And so sometimes I think that we can, and myself included, and as a member of the media, I need to be better, be myopic about what we're focusing on. If it's not, everything's not football and men's basketball. Do we want them to succeed? Absolutely. That goes without saying. But that doesn't mean that there is no one else winning. Coach Ty Grace with the women's basketball program, they just won the conference. I just mentioned them winning the game in the NCAA tournament, first time in school history. Like, we have a lot of winning that's going on here, and we need to. I'm speaking to myself. Need to do a better job of highlighting that as well. Homecoming, man. Like, I'm just so. I know we're wrapping up here pretty soon. I see my boy Melvin. Thank you for coming out. This is really, really cool. I'm glad to have this opportunity. I know we got a little bit of a late start. But I just want to say thank you to the people at the Venn. I was hoping that Holly would be able to hop on it here and talk a little bit more about the Venn and about this wonderful hotel that is graciously hosting us here at for Bison Express. But I'm hoping that this is the first of many of these sort of kickoff game coverage joints that we're able to do, because I look at College Game Day and I'm like, we could certainly do that. And we could certainly do it for Howard's homecoming of all games. You know what I mean? Like, this is us. We do everything. And the way we do it is just better, right? Like, so hopefully this will be the first of many. This can be maybe an annual thing, or for big games, or I'm also hoping to increase the visibility of Bison Express. I've been fortunate enough to work there for about the past year and change now as content curator. And so I do a myriad of things. As I mentioned, I do interviews. As I mentioned, I write. And now hosting events. So I'm going to put that on my resume too. But this is just something really, really cool. And shout out to Calvin Simmons, my brother at Phi Sigma Pi National Honor Fraternity, who recommended me for this, who said, hey, we need to do a better job of getting our name out there and telling other people, hey, this exists. Like, there is a fundraising arm to the Howard Athletic Department, and they're trying to make money for this. This is something that Calvin and I had talked about for years. Honestly, something Melvin and I had talked about when we went here. Like, we love sports. We love Howard. So we're obviously going to want to combine those things, and we want to support, right? You want to support all the athletes, and you want to see them succeed. And so when you see a coach like Coach Tyson tell you, hey, we don't have a batting cage. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to light a fire in you the way it lights a fire in me, the way it lights a fire in her. You know what I mean? Like, she's fantastic. She's able to do all this with little. But as she mentioned, that doesn't need to be the story. It doesn't need to be about overcoming. It doesn't always have to be that. Sometimes it can be about, we have a lot and we did a lot with it. And then the other part is, if she's doing this with the littles given, if you give her more, she can do more. I don't want to speak for her, but that's kind of what she was saying, I feel like. And so that's something that I think that we could all just do a better job of, because we can toss in that money. I mentioned bisonexpress.org/give. Man, I don't care how much it is. You at homecoming right now, $5, $10, $20. You know you're gonna spend a lot more to do literally a lot less. And so I'm not trying to browbeat y'all to do it, but what I'm saying is this is an opportunity for you to do it. And I'm browbeating you a little bit because, I mean, this is a fundraising joint. So, I mean, obviously I'm going to browbeat you a little bit, but it's honestly just about, hey, support the folks that go out there and put that bison on their chest and compete hard. Because I've been out on the yard. I'm going to go to tailgate, and I've definitely heard that, oh, we ain't good this year. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. Well, part of that is also not having the resources necessary to put on those sorts of fantastic things. And at Bison Express, we want to allocate as much money as possible, but we can't, we can't do but so much without more support. And that's really what this event is about. It's about people becoming members of Bison Express, about being involved, because I want to involve y'all. And I know y'all care because I've had these conversations with y'all. So I know you care. And I'm going to continue to do it. And I'm going to try to continue to get better at it and have more of these events and change things up a little bit. There are so many different ways for folks to, for us to kind of do a better job of illuminating who we are, what we do, our importance. And I'm going to try to continue to change that up, because I mean, why not, man? This is a fun time. Like right now I'm on the rooftop. There's some music in the background. I got my friends here, like, and I'm at work. So like, why wouldn't I keep doing this? Thank you so much. At HU Cosell on Twitter and Instagram. Please follow me. I'm going to tweet a link out and replay this. Again, got off to a little bit of a later start, but it's still going to be a good like 50 minutes worth of content. And you'll see me in the beginning sweating a lot because I was also straight into it. The sun was beaming into my eyes. And I was also trying to make sure that we started on time. We did not, but it is homecoming. And so you know how that goes. But for all of us here at Bison Express, for the folks here up on top of the rooftop, the Vin, please check it out. It's a wonderful place. And thank you so much to them for hosting us. And hopefully we will see you soon with some similar nonsense that I'll be a part of. Y'all take it easy.